Hi everyone, my name is Nick Martelaro. I am an assistant professor here in the Human-Computer Interaction Institute in the School of Computer Science. My research is primarily around understanding what designers do when they do their work, and then thinking about how we can better support them in doing their work, especially as they start to design more interactive and autonomous systems. So I'd like to show you a little bit of the work that I've been doing, developing computational tools to support and augment designers in the work that they do. My personal background is that I come from an area of building mechatronic and interactive products. I built things like robotic couches, interactive smart materials, data collection systems for automotive driving environments, as well as interactive and smart speakers. And what I'm really interested in terms of my research question is, how will designers create future interactive and autonomous systems? And the way that I approach this with my research is that I build design tools and I study how they influence design processes. And what I'm really motivated by are these sort of future-looking interactive and autonomous technologies that we're starting to hear about much, much more today. Things like autonomous cars, personal robots, and digital assistants. Now, all of these pictures here are products that are available, and these are all really beautiful kind of shots of what the objects look like. However, I'm really interested in how is it that these objects are going to behave with people. And I'm really motivated by this quote from Terry Winograd in The Design of Interaction that talks about successful interaction design requiring a shift from seeing the machinery to seeing the lives of the people using it. And so much of my work is really focused on understanding people, seeing people, and then trying to do really human-centered design of new interactive and autonomous technologies. So let me show you some examples of my work that kind of highlight this. The first set of projects I want to talk about are systems that I've built to do remote observation and interaction prototyping of new autonomous systems. So one example here is I built a system that would allow user researchers to remotely observe and interact with drivers as they were using partially autonomous vehicles. So for example, this driver here in a Tesla, completely hands-free, they're actually yawning. And in the background, I'm actually talking with them about what is their experience, what are they paying attention to. And we actually ran a study where we had a number of drivers drive basically partially autonomous vehicles, and we really understood what that in-seat experience was. Now, this was really great for our partners that we were working with Renault and Nissan, because currently they really don't have a lot of ways to understand what that real lived experience is. So these kinds of remote sort of Internet things driven observation systems can be really powerful in helping designers to actually understand what these technologies really look like when real users are sitting in that driver's seat, when these things are out in the real world. Now, one of the other exciting aspects of my work, and this has actually become a little bit more important recently since we're now all working basically from home or remotely, is that all of the systems that I've built for this actually allow designers to work in a distributed fashion. So they can interact with people either in their home environments or in environments like their own cars, but they can be anywhere in the world. We've actually been able to have numerous designers log in from anywhere in the US or really anywhere in the world to actually interact and observe users trying out new technologies and to prototype new interactions. So in terms of that idea of prototyping new interactions, so we of course can observe and see what it's like for people to use currently available technology, but I'm also really interested in seeing what could new technology look like and how are we going to actually test new ideas in a really rapid and agile manner. A project that I did with Spotify actually looked at this in terms of speech interaction with music agents, and they were really interested in understanding what would it be like to talk to your speaker in a more meaningful way about your music rather than just say commanding to play a song, but what if you were going to talk about the songs you like, the songs that you remember from when you were older or when you were younger? The other thing too that we've been able to do in terms of this sort of remote observational work is that we're able to push into environments and explore new technologies in places that we might not be able to reach normally. So for example, I've been recently doing a lot of work on a farm in upstate New York, all of this being remote, where we're actually observing tractor operators who are working with semi-autonomous farm equipment, or in this case, as you could have maybe seen in this video, fighting with semi-automated equipment. The other area of my work that I also look into to support designers, not just with, say, observational or prototyping tools, is also providing ways to assist designers in more, say, cognitive tasks. So to help them basically in their design thinking. I have some really new work that I've been conducting around computational design assistants that can actually sit with a designer and ask them questions about the design work that they're working on. And the idea here is really to push designers' thinking into new directions that they may not have considered before. I'm doing this work in collaboration with some researchers at Accenture Technology Labs. My colleague Charles Foster is here. And we've actually developed a system based on some of the more advanced AI language models, specifically OpenAI's GPT language model, to generate designerly questions, or the kinds of questions that you might ask in a design session or in a brainstorming session. But in this case, it's actually a computer doing that. So for example, we have a sample here about asking about an autonomous car regarding safety. And I like the fact that it actually asks some questions that are, maybe like, when is the best time for an autonomous driving initiative or incentive program to come to effect? But it also asks, maybe some provocative questions like, is it really the kind of technology that will make anyone safer? The interesting thing here being this is completely computer generated. And while all the questions may not be the most sort of well-formed questions, they sometimes can actually lead to designers thinking in new ways. And so that can really kind of spur creative thought. So overall, I'm really excited about a number of areas in supporting how we design new interactive and autonomous systems. The three areas kind of together that I like to show of my work are really design methods and tools, interaction design, and autonomous systems. And so I'm really excited to talk to others about this, and feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to know more.